All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. After making the postseason last October, the Seattle Mariners were once again expected to contend for a postseason berth this year. But for Seattle this season, they fell one game short of making the playoffs, and it's going to be a very long offseason in the Pacific Northwest as the M's definitely have to ask themselves what could have been. The Mariners, they're going to look back on that slow start to begin this season. And I mean, I say slow start because they were up and down for the bulk of the first half of the season. You're talking about a team that was 45 and 44 at the break. They went 43 and 30 over the second half of the season, but then you also look at the fact that they had a very tough schedule coming down the stretch. You just look at the last month of the season series with the Tampa Bay Rays, multiple series with the Texas Rangers, a series with the Houston Astros, a series with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And, Seattle really didn't hold their own for the most part in those series. I go back to the series where they lost 3 out of 4 against the Tampa Bay Rays. Of course, the comments made by starting pitcher George Kirby during that series when he was asked to go pitch the seventh inning when he said he felt like he didn't have it anymore. Um, they just never recovered from all of that. And then, once the Mariners got eliminated, the comments from Cal Raleigh, where he later apologized about, but, there's some frustration on this team. I'll tell you like this. I mean, there's a lot of young talent on the Seattle team, but the biggest question for me is where's the leadership? And I say that because not to say that the Mariners did not have a good season because they were right there in the mix. They were 88 and 74. But the thing was, after getting to the postseason last year, they needed to try to find a way to build off of that, and they were unable to do that. A lot of different factors. I mean, the Robbie Ray injury hurt this team as well. And then Seattle plays in a tough division. And I don't think too many people expected the Texas Rangers to improve as much as they did this season, but nonetheless, they did. And Seattle, they had some lulls at times throughout the year. And at the end of the day, it caught up with him. So you go back to Cal Riley's comments, and he wants basically talking about, wanting ownership in the front office to go out there and spend more money. That's not really going to be the case with the Seattle Mariners. I mean, you look at this team; they're never really going to be in the top 10 as far as MLB payrolls. I mean, coming into this year, the Mariners had the 18th highest payroll in Major League Baseball. Uh, so far next season, they've got a little bit north of $106 million committed to player salaries. And I know that Julio Rodriguez got that big time extension, but the real money doesn't kick in anytime soon. So it's like basically compared to a lot of other star players, he's relatively on the cheap. But nonetheless, the talent is there for this Mariners team. You got Luis Castillo locked up for the coming years. George Kirby is an outstanding young pitcher. Again, like I said before, the Mariners are hopeful to get a healthy Robbie Ray back for next season. Wouldn't hurt if they went out there and got themselves another bat. But even with that said, most teams around Major League Baseball right now, with the current luxury tax and you name it, outside of the bigger market teams, a la the New York teams with the Mets and Yankees, Los Angeles with the Dodgers, of course, and San Francisco potentially with the Giants, most teams really are trying to keep it close to the vest as far as rosters, homegrown talent, trying to get vets on the cheap, you name it. And Seattle falls into that category as well. But again, I think it comes down to leadership on this team. The Mariners definitely need some more vocal leaders in that clubhouse. Just need some guys with more of a, I'm not going to say spirit, but I'm going to say guys with more of the over my dead body mentality as far as, us not going out there and giving 110% and winning and things like that. Now, they got to improve in their hitting. They have the power, yes, but they were 11th this past season in the American League in batting. And again, like I said, this team has the talent to go out there and make a legitimate run at the World Series. Last year was an experience for them. They got to the postseason for the first time in a month of Sundays. They beat the Toronto Blue Jays in the wild card round, were swept by the Houston Astros in the divisional round, but they were right there in every single game. Nonetheless, again, they got to come back and find a way to build off of that. So this, I think, is going to be a very important offseason for Jerry DePoto and this Mariners front office. And I think the feeling that they have right now, as far as being so short of making the postseason and knowing that they could have been in this party and done some damage. I think that needs to carry over to their offseason workouts. I think that needs to carry over to how they come back to spring training next year and have that focus needed to try to find a way to overtake the Astros. You now know that the Rangers are going to be in contention in this division as well. And then more importantly, you got to go out there and beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. And again, like I said, that slow start to the season really doomed the the Seattle Mariners. If they had come out there and played more consistent in the first half of the season, we're probably not having this conversation right now. But nonetheless, that is the way that the ball bounces. And unfortunately for the Mariners, they're going to be watching the postseason proceedings from home. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.